and welcome to Tarmac. I'm Dave.
I'm Harry.
And I'm Matthew, and as you can see behind us, we've got 3 fully electric, affordable SUVs.
And to find which one is best, we'll put them to the test.
And what better way than a good old-fashioned Kiwi road trip? The test would be an all-day affair. Starting at the airport, the near 400-kilometre trip would include Thames, Paeroa and back, with multiple stops along the way. That meant charging first. Not so easy when you don't know which side the charge ports are on. Well, for some anyway. Since we're out of the airport, probably the first test should be luggage space.
Now my MG4 has 363 litres of boot space, but an old school manual opening tailgate. But the space inside will fit these 2 suitcases.
In the Atto3, I then get 440 litres and I trump Matt by having an electric tailgate.
Not only is my trunk space a 2 suitcase holding 380 litres, but it's also hands-free. Okay, gentlemen, why don't we explain which cars or what vehicles we're in right now?
So, as you can probably tell, I am now in the MG4. Now, the other 2 over here might go on about history of their respective brands or whatnot, but it's fair to say that I don't think either of them have the kind of badge credibility and history that MG bring to this party. As you know, MG, they originate from Britain and they've been around since 1924. More recently though, they have been owned by SAIC Motor, their parent company, and they've pivoted to a focus of making value-friendly cars and now EVs as well. The MG4 being of course their second ever electric vehicle after the ZS EV. I have got the Essence 64 kilowatt hour model over here. First impressions, well, it's sort of what you'd expect really from a car in this price range with a value as a tagline. You've got, yes, some scratchy plastics around. On the doors, you've got a bit of soft stuff on the dashboard there, but for the most part, it is scratchy and a bit tough. That's not reflective, however, of its build quality, which in general is quite good. You push and pull things and shake things around and it's all screwed together fairly well. And generally what they've done is make all the touch points really soft and really good to touch. Frankly, I can't fault the MG4. It's comfortable to drive, it's quiet, you've got great visibility all around, and the range is plenty too.
Build Your Dreams, or BYD for short, is a car make that is not necessarily new to New Zealand. And the Atto3, which is this car that I'm in, is one that has found a lot of success here in New Zealand. And it's easy to understand why. It has received many awards in different markets, and it is of course part of what is arguably the most desired segments for the EVs, which is these sort of small to medium SUVs. And BYD really struck a good balance here between being able to offer something that is still quite affordable, but manages to pack everything that people will be expecting from a car in this segment. So there is all the suite of technology and comfort options that you would expect from a car, and it manages to bring this very interesting equation to the market, where I think that the designers didn't actually speak to one another when they were doing the exterior and the interior of this car. Because if you look on the outside, it has such a conventional and under the radar kind of design that I think it's very attractive and is able to sort of draw the attention while still not being in your face. But then as you get into the interior, the picture absolutely changes. There is nothing quite like this on the market for the interior of a small SUV, and I think that this is going to be a con or a pro depending on who you are.
I myself am in the new Omoda E5. Now, many of you won't know what Omoda is, and quite rightly, because it's quite a new brand and certainly very new to New Zealand. But it is part of the Chery brand, or Chery Corporation. Omoda itself, the name is made up from O for oxygen, so what they are looking at is very sort of clean cars, and Moda for style, so what they also play on is the fact of being very sort of sleek, stylish vehicles. In the lineup for New Zealand, we have the C5 range, which is sort of petrol driven. I think there's 4 in there, and also the E5. And for the E5, which is all electric, you have a BX version, which is the lower spec, and the EX, which is the one I'm in right now. This Omoda is so luxurious, I mean, it's European quality all around. The thing you can't miss is this 24-inch screen across the front here. It really does give you so much information, so much data, and it's so clear as well. Don't get me started on the 3-dimensional 360-degree camera view. The trim across the dash here is soft touch, and also the trim across in between the air vents. There's a little Omoda that sort of illuminates when you're driving, which is very cool. Seats themselves very comfortable and very supportive, so nice side bolsterings, and also fully electric. The sound system's an 8-speaker Sony sound system, and the speakers are looking really sharp and really stylish, even the one on the top in the center there. It's got a sunroof, making sure that the cabin is completely illuminated. And it's my understanding there's 17 ADAS systems. The back seats come with armrests, or a central armrest, so you've got cup holders, you've got air vents, like I said, you've got 2 heated seats. So the luxury for the people in the rear, you know, the little people that you tend to forget about, they're actually pretty good. Visibility all round is good. Big windows, big windscreen. Even the rear windscreen is you can actually see quite a lot out the back. And as far as power goes, it's 150 kilowatts of power, which is the same as the other 2. Front wheel drive, but this one comes with more torque, so those overtaking maneuvers can be done with a little bit more vigor. As far as driving convenience goes, it's on the moment you sort of sit in it, which is great, so no push button start. And also for the drive and reverse and neutral and park is all on the stick here, so much like the Mercedes actually. Jaffa?
Yes, please.
This isn't a sponsored placement.
All right, so first impressions, what do you think?
The MG4 is actually everything I expected it to be. It's well made, but at the same time uses some scratchy materials, mix of soft stuff. You can tell it's made with value in mind, but there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine.
Yeah, the Atto3, to me, I knew a little bit about it walking into the car, and to me the first thing, like if we are talking first impressions, what caught me off guard is this massive difference between what you see on the outside versus what you see on the inside. The package is there, it is a very concise offering, but I find this difference between how conventional the exterior is versus how crazy it is on the inside a little bit jarring.
Interesting. My thing was actually quite, because Omoda's quite an unknown brand, right? I've seen MG4s around quite a lot now, and I've seen the Atto3 obviously even more. So it was actually quite refreshing to get a new vehicle and get behind the wheel of a new vehicle, and I actually really impressed. I think across the board, which I'll probably come up with later, but I was impressed with the fit and finish of a Chinese brand.
Yeah, I think that this is the impression that I got as well, that if once you get past the craziness on the interior and you actually start looking at the materials that they chose, how well it's put together, then I was left with a very good impression as well.
I guess the next thing is, how does it drive? So I found mine drove really nicely out of the city and to here, to this beautiful spot.
Likewise, very comfortable on the drive-through despite some big potholes and things. But I think now we have some windier roads coming up ahead of us, so it's time to do a more comprehensive handling test, let's say.
I'm going to load up on another Jaffa. Let's go.
So for this next leg, we are about to take some twisty turns and employ the use of some of these for the first time on Tarmac Life. So a new inventory item added to the list, walkie-talkies. There you go, makes a road trip a lot more fun. Do try and keep up, chaps.
Yeah, don't act like you're in the fastest car even though you're not really an SUV.
Well, it's around these bits that mine not being an SUV is actually going to come to fruition.
Yeah, so your rear-wheel drive may pay off on this one, actually.
Low to the ground and rear-wheel drive, pretty much a Porsche 911, I think.
I can see the similarities immediately.
Absolutely flat through there. I haven't even tipped over my LNP.
I mean, admittedly, these aren't sports cars, although they're, they're EVs, so they're probably faster than their petrol equivalents.
On a road like this, it benefits that all three of them have their batteries nice and low, even though they are all SUVs, some of them more so than others.
The first thing I want us all to do is to put on adaptive cruise control, how easy it is.
I'll be honest, you got me there because I just haven't been able to figure out how to turn on the adaptive cruise control. I know my right side buttons are for volume and stuff, but the left side one doesn't seem to be doing anything.
Mine's actually really simple. One button push and set down below.
And it's you operating it, and if you're saying it's simple, it must really be simple.
In my case, it could not be easier.
The other thing is, what about lane keep assist?
Yeah, I don't think I am too big of a fan of this implementation. On a big straight like this, it is allowing me to go over the lane, which is absolutely not ideal. And when we were doing the windier stuff, the lane keep assist was always tugging the steering wheel out of my hand. So yeah, basically not a fan.
Mine's very smooth, actually. It just gently puts me back into the right way.
It's pretty good on the MG too, nice and gentle as it pushes you back into the lane, but sometimes it doesn't always pick up the road markings, which is a little bit of a worry, I suppose, if you're a distracted driver.
Actually, speaking of distracted drivers, do you have a distracted driver monitor? And does anybody else have a full-size spare tyre in case of a flat? Well, that was awesome. I'm really enjoying my car, but I think it's time that we swapped over cars and tried out everybody else's. So there you go. And you're on for the next one.
One thing that is apparent the moment you start driving the MG is how much it is more focused on the actual driving experience. Starting from the actual sitting position, as soon as you get inside of the car, you sit much lower, because of course it's a little bit less than an SUV compared to the BYD, and there's plenty of adjustment for even someone as tall as myself to find a good driving position. And as we are going through these sort of undulations on the tarmac, you can really see that it is less softly sprung than the BYD, which allows for you to sort of play a little bit more with the weight and the low center of gravity that this car has. But one thing that I struggled a little bit as I got inside of the MG is that up until this point, I'm not too sure how is it that I interact with a few of the technology on offer. I still haven't figured out how to turn on the cruise control and to interact with to the deeper parts of the driving modes and trip information and all of that. I'm sure that this is just because I just got in the car, but of course it really highlights the fact that it is not as intuitive as the other two, that you literally just jump inside and you know how to get your way around.
Yeah, I must say it's been a long time since I've been inside an Atto3, but it's all come flooding back to me. The trim is kind of polarizing. I kind of like it and dislike it. It's the gym feel about it is still there. I'm still not convinced about this skin-like texture around the dash. So again, it feels quite nice on the road. As far as I actually feel it's quite stoic, so getting plenty of feedback. The steering is quite positive and actually very reminiscent of the Omoda. The visibility all round is good. Again, the screens, there's not even a competition there. It's better in the Omoda. But there's the vents, there's plenty of vents, and actually the overall feel is, aside from slightly quirky, a reasonably good finish, or pretty good finish all round. I can see why it's been award winning. So here we are, being typical tourists. We're at the iconic LMP bottle. How cool is that in Pyroa? Awesome.
And what better way than to actually pack a few LMPs for us to enjoy on the road?
It's warm.
And I'll tell you what, I've packed a few as well, but I'll do you one better because they're all chilled. There you go, chaps. Chilled LMPs for you, because as you can see, I've been driving the Omoda, and its chilled glove box means no more warm drinks.
Nice. Anyway, what did you think of the Omoda?
It's, dare I say, luxurious, very well appointed on the inside. That's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I found I enjoyed the Atto3, and it actually all came back to me as to what I enjoyed about the car when it was years ago. But it has dated, and that gym feeling, skin feeling is just not, it's not doing it for me anymore. But the ride is nice, and it's smooth, and it's comfortable.
Yeah, it's the whole gym thing is not for me either, but I can absolutely understand your perception jumping from the MG to the Omoda, because going now to the MG, I can definitely see that their focus is not in making a super well appointed interior. It's not what it offers in no way, shape or form.
So that brings us on to the next thing, the exterior. I like the MG's sleekness. I struggle with it being a SUV for that matter. It does look like a hatch.
Yeah, that's right. I totally get sort of a hatchback feelings and sort of vibes from it. It's not an SUV, and but I also like the way that it looks, and I think that it is very sensitive to color. There are certain colors that work extremely well with it, that red being one of them.
The Atto3, it's again, the exterior's done pretty well in time. It's hung out there pretty well. But I like the stormtrooper face of the Omoda. I do. I think there's something about it that makes it very attractive.
Yeah, especially now being the new kid on the block, this new design really works in its favor. And I think that this sort of a more sleek shape that it brings, more so than the sort of almost boxy thing that the Atto3 has, also makes it all that more modern.
And I know when we were in Thames, there were just so many people of the three together were looking at the Omoda. I probably, maybe I'm biased.
I think it's the newness of the brand as well, which is sparking curiosity from people, because obviously people are familiar with the MG. Atto3 has been around for a few years now as well, so something new with the Omoda, and it looks as striking as it does. Tends to get a few glances here and there.
The force is strong with it. Anyway, shall we swap keys and do another one?
I've got to say, I'm in the Atto3 now, and I forgot that sort of the uniqueness, let's say, of its design. The color scheme, the stretched muscle thing going on, the gym theme, all of those things. It's very unique, and well, I kind of like it actually. I like the colors. I like the fact that they've tried to be bold, and then also I like the fact that the little door cubby holders mean I can play Smoke on the Water, or at least my version of it.
Yeah, there's something minimalistic about this MG4, which I kind of like. That coming from its history of being a sort of minimalistic car, but I'm sort of expecting more from an EV nowadays.
I wanted to be the last one to talk because I'm actually speechless. This feels like such an elevated experience in comparison to the other two. So not only does it have the quality of the materials and the sort of like the taste that you would expect from something that is trying to be more luxurious, but I also quite like the way that everything is laid out. Like it has this interesting sort of separation between the driver and the passenger. All the materials look quite nice. I'm liking this very much.
It is dark in here with no sunroof and quite black, although it is piano black, but black interior.
Don't get me wrong, pretty much everything in the interior of the Omoda is also black. There's not a lot of color, but I think that the difference in the materials, so you get shiny stuff and then matte stuff, and the leather with the stitching or faux leather, but I think that it creates for an interesting sort of place to be in, that I'm almost getting luxury vibes from it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely agree with Harry's thoughts on the Omoda. It is dark, but at the same time the little metallic elements give it not just a feeling of premiumness, but also a break up the monotony, if you like.
I think again it's quite quiet, and also in here, and also again the fit and finish is amazing for what is a very affordable EV. It is sharpish off the road, off the line, but I think there's more torque in the Omoda.
Yeah, I just gave it a little bit of the beans just now in here, and you can definitely feel the front wheel driveness of it because it sort of squats and goes, but it does that in a very predictable manner. It almost doesn't feel like an EV, like it doesn't have that sort of snap back on your neck. I like it. It really sort of meets the purpose of what this car is trying to be.
This BYD feels the most SUV-like of the three I've driven today. I feel very much sort of in an elevated position in a decent-sized car and all of those things.
I was struggling a little bit to find a position in the MG's seat where I was fully comfortable. There was a part of the seat that was always at on my back, that was sticking a little bit. This is absolutely not the case here. I think that this is the most comfortable of the three. There's a lot of range for adjustment, and even though the driving position is quite tall all the time, it's very easy to find one that works for you. Then you also get the gear selector being a stock here on the right hand side. So this allows for a little bit more room for you to use, which allows then in turn for big storage here, cup holders in front of you, and a massive cubby here down below as well. So I think that in terms of storage, this might be the better of the bunch.
So you have it. We've had a hell of a day with 3 Chinese EVs, and we've been to the beach, we've been uphill, down dale, and we've arrived at the Bombay's charging stations. So they're getting charged up, and we need to get charged up as well. The big question is, we've had all 3. What's the verdict? You've been behind the wheel of all 3. Harry, what do you think?
I think that starting on the BYD was really interesting to create a baseline between what I could expect then from the MG and the Omoda. I think it's pretty clear that each car will excel at the things that they want to sort of present to the market. The MG felt to me like is the one that is the best to drive. It's very lively, and it puts its power down quite well. I don't know, the BYD, I'm still struggling with that interior. I don't think that I could live with that car on a day-to-day basis. And I think that EVs automatically sort of push that boundary of being a little bit more luxurious because of the quietness and how smooth it is. So to me, because of how well appointed the whole luxury offering is on the Omoda, I think that it would be my choice.
Okay, Matt?
Well, ever the politician I am, I've got to say, straight away I'll remove the Atto3 from the running, but the MG4, I've got to give it credit. It delivered in bucket loads on the range, and it went all the way. In fact, I gained range as well over the trip, so there you go, top tip. But at the end of the day, for the luxurious feeling, the audio quality, all of those things, which I am partial to, admittedly, it was the Omoda.
Okay. For me, I really like the evolution again. So the Atto3 has been around for a long time, or for a fair amount of time in New Zealand, and really did sort of forge the way into an EV, so an affordable EV, and won awards on the way. Then you had the MG4 that's come in and again won awards on the way through. I personally think that the Omoda has just taken it to the next stage. The looks I really like, because I'm a Star Wars fan anyway. The interior is just so good, and the screen is just miles ahead right now. Range wise, I think they've all done very well. They've all done quite an impressive, you know, anxiety-free range. But the other thing is, I forgot to mention when we started off, the Omoda starts at 47 grand. So realistically, value-wise, you can't top it. I think it is an award winner coming through, my pick. So I think it's unanimous. The Omoda is the winner.